for one, I had people that told me that I hit a great block when I was in college. And I think it's because I was fearless and pretty stupid, and I would just run as hard as I could and stuck my leg out, right? And there's a significant component to that, and we'll probably back it up and talk a little bit about the right to left, and then I honestly would like to know what you guys would like to know, all right? And so some of you folks that have been throwing for a while, what's up, Chloe? It's Coach Pound's Lion here. Got this recorded. Did you hit go? No, I'm just kidding, right? I would love to know, I want to speak to you guys, so what questions that you guys have for understanding clarification. I could speak a lot about the javelin, and I might even get into my own little headspace and start nerding out, and then they're going to cut us off, and then apparently I'm supposed to do this again. So you guys are going to get the best one because I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't usually say the same thing twice. We got dowels. We don't have javelins. Fantastic.
We took them all over to the field.
That's great.
Of course.
Oh,
That's
I got
fine.
one in my car. Do you want it?
That'll do for now. But yeah, like I was saying, I would recklessly run into the left side and run right through it. And then I blew up my knee, and I did not blow up my knee throwing the javelin. I didn't tear my ACL. Honestly, it was because I threw my left leg down and didn't care. I grew up as a catcher in softball and roofing houses, and my dad was also a strength and conditioning coach. So like, I had pretty strong legs, and I could do that. All right, but my bone structure apparently didn't like it over time. All right, so I've never torn a ligament or anything like that in my legs. But yeah, so I just obliterated like knee to knee, like, or not knee to knee, but like, I don't know what I did, but I destroyed that knee. And honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened to my left side because it taught me how to block with my left side. How many of you guys know Kara Winger? Track and Kara Winger, okay? I think she'd be okay with me sharing this, but she tore her ACL a second time. Last year, she threw 10 months post-op. 10 months post-op. It's absolutely insane, right? Block leg ACL, same ACL. At the Olympic trials, like to the day, 10 months post-op, through 61 meters. And so I think that her going through her injuries and how disciplined she is on the recovery process, but then me having also been through a knee injury, really helped us get back to, well, for one, I never loved her left side in the first place. That's always something that we were working on. But it helped her get back to throwing and just built a lot of confidence to know that, like, your knee does not need to hold that block. And I want to try to explain that. Again, I know I'm ripping on, I warned Sarah and I warned Bart that they're probably going to get hate mail if you guys go say that I was ripping on American jab throwers. Not one in particular or anything like that, any coach, it's just a misunderstanding of how we can actually use our bodies, okay, to whip the jab instead of run really hard and fast, all right? Some of us decelerate to hit the block. We'll talk about accelerating into the block as well. I'll probably get to impulse unless people have questions as well, and then we're gonna get into that stuff tomorrow, all right? So I was kind of waiting to hit that until we got today. But we just usually run really hard, stick that leg out just like I did, all right? And then we typically collapse through the core. And it's just very, very difficult. Like, the body is intended and designed to save itself from pain, right? So it'll either slow itself down or it will break and bend, not like break, right? But it will bend where God created our joints, right? So in our knees and in our hips, and then we tend to feel it in our backs. We talked about that a little bit today. The way that we executed today's practice was also on purpose, right? Where we did a lot of the progression. I just wanted to see how you guys pulled on the jab and talk about that. But I also really wanted to focus on getting us closed, all right? Working on the hip. We'll talk a lot about the right sector today. And trying to get you guys to catch the jab high and back and creating, and you did an awesome job, Coach Dumble, of helping us understand what we were trying to do on this left side without really being able to break it down here, all right? And creating this whole left side block, and then we'll talk about the abominable left hand that we don't tend to understand either, right? But the body is designed, okay, not really to take a forceful impact without wanting to absorb it, okay? The beautiful thing about the javelin throw, and a lot of you guys experienced that, I got some nods and some like big eyes, when you guys felt yourselves like throw pure, jab flight was awesome, and you're like, that didn't hurt, and that went somewhere, and what happened, right? Because you weren't throwing the javelin and you were using the body as it's designed. Biomechanically, people that have created and developed over time the technical component of the javelin is designed such that you can run into this left side, use it, and go up and through it, all right? I think, Chloe, we were talking about how we just want to come here and think that we can hit and hold this and we don't know what to do with it and we end up pulling down on it. Why? It's because that's what we see on video. I did a presentation a couple years ago that I thought wasn't going to go over super well, but I think it did all right because I got a lot of questions afterwards. Like, I've never thought and seen it that way. I wanted to call it "It's Not What You Think You See," but I also didn't want to come across as like passive aggressive in my title of my topic or my presentation, and so I called it "Seeing the Unseen." All right, but it's not what you think you see, right? So you guys, has everybody at least watched somebody on film or seen people, right? You've seen a block, right? Not just your own, okay? And a lot of times what people see is you see this finished position where you're over here, right, on the block. And so a lot of us think that, oh, this is where I need to go for my block. I think what we talked about earlier on today is that everything that I do, all right, all of the force production I'm trying to create needs to go up into and through the javelin, all right? So why would I want to pull away from that, all right? I want to run freaking head on into it. And when I run into it nice and close, block up on the whole left side, I rotate, turn that hip into and under, I'm able to hit the block, right? Use it to catapult myself up and through it, all right? So we're gonna talk about how we break that down. Am I tracking everybody now, okay? I'm not gonna give you massive angles. I will talk to you a little bit about muscles. I am a strength and conditioning coach as well by career field. And so I think it's important. I can talk a little bit about too how we develop some of these muscles, all right? But we started out staying nice and closed long, and then what happened? We went to crossovers, right? And everybody wanted to run that way, and you wanted to open up and run that way and fall that way. And then what we do at the end of practice? We came back to, let's move sideways some more, but what? We're gonna close the shoulder up a little bit. We're gonna get this hand high, and we're gonna hide it behind our head, all right? And it allowed us to get closed, which is why we have to work, okay, to pull ourselves sideways. Instead of, I need to get to the line at the front of the runway. You guys know I'm not like and I threw the javelin. I played basketball in college and then picked up the javelin, all right? So I don't know all the words, right? No, but you're trying to get to the end of the runway and you just like want to run and get there, right? Remember, we're trying to set that up. So we'll work our way from the front to the back and get into the impulse and how we set that up, okay? But I really want to talk about, and mentioned it today, on when we come in on this block side, right? I'm going to try to stay this way and say I'm going to throw this way, okay? Give some direction, all right? This is the direction that I'm throwing, okay? I want to get as far back as I can as possible, all right? So a couple things need to happen. I can probably turn my feet and my legs, my knees this way, and still keep my hips closed, all right? I was 5'2", one of the better compliments I got about throwing the javelin is you're 5'2" and you got a 6'2" pull or wingspan on the javelin. I was a rapper, all right? How do you know if you're a rapper? Is if you can like sing along with Eminem and all that stuff and whoever the cool rappers are these days. No, right, no, rap, W-R-A-P, yeah, rapper. So what I did is I would rap and create that torque in my body, all right? Something that you can work to, what that allowed for me is to start my pull from back here. Okay, a couple things that you need is a lot of mobility in the shoulders, all right? So that's one huge thing. The more mobility that you have, the more ability then that you have to be patient to allow your arm to stay back there while you're trying to throw your hips up into and through the throw, all right? So it's one thing if you slow yourself down, wrapping, try to run that way, but then as you go to throw, because you don't have the mobility, you have to bring your arm back around, okay? So working on mobility of that arm, and I will talk about stretching, maybe not tonight, I don't know. See, now there's all these million things I want to talk about, okay? But I was a rapper, so I got back here, I really worked on like my shoulder mobility so that I could catch the pull from back here and allow myself to stay closed and catch the jab a lot longer, all right? If anything, and I know Coach Spencer was talking about this too, is why not close this shoulder up a little bit? I think it was Andreas Thorkildsen. He was a Norwegian jab thrower.
Yep.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
One of the coolest cues he taught me, or I heard him talk about, was check your watch. Right? So as I'm coming in to throw the javelin in that direction, I'm going to check my watch and the time, and that helps close my left shoulder, right? I'm not saying you have to come all the way back here, like Dana Pounds, but why not close up this shoulder? We talked about ringing the towel and getting that hand back, all right? And I think it's really key too to work on that left shoulder to right hip relationship as I'm coming in to stay closed. You guys tracking so far? All right, we'll get to the impulse later, but let's keep talking about the left side. So as I come in sideways, all right, I'm able to throw this left leg down, all right, just like this. So I'll drop this right knee in. We talked about this today, all right? Drop this right knee in. Real quick, going from right to left. Super important for you guys to be a fast right to left. You'll see a lot of people come in here and go right, push off and go left. Where did my center of mass go? Where did my chest go? The direction of force in my chest is going down, all right? So right fit we talked about on that last crossover, all right? We don't want to reach and open our hips, all right? I'm going to drive that knee up, toe up, and I'm going to put this right foot like right at under my center of mass, okay? Maybe slightly forward, because this is like where I'm the fastest on the runway, and I want to run over that right foot. You guys tracking? Okay? So I'm going to bring this right foot over, and I put my right foot down. Now I got to get to my left, all right? Couple people I've heard it said, and I don't know who said them, so I can't, and I won't say if I actually knew who they were, but you've probably heard push off your right into your left, okay? Some of you guys might have heard soft right, all right? I say run over your right, throw your knee down, okay? If I have a soft right, that means I come in and it's a non-active right, okay? Because I don't want to push, all right? I come in here, I'm blazing speed, I come in on my right, soft. Where'd my center of mass go? Forward, right? Now I'm falling into the jab, right? This is my opinion.
Explain what center of mass is?
Huh?
Do you want to explain what center of mass
This is my center of mass.
No.
All right, masters, explain center of mass.
Okay. So like I said before, if you guys saw your center of mass, it depends on if you're male or female, but it's an imaginary line that goes straight through your body. So it's where the biggest mass on you is. So girls, like I said, it's your butt, your thighs. Men, it's your pecs. You got bigger pecs than girls.
Okay.
Okay?
So we can divide
where
that.
you go. So if you get your center mass out of your base of support, which is where your feet make contact with the ground. So if I have one foot, that's my base of support. If I have 2 feet, this is my base of support. So if you get your center mass behind or out in front, you fall. Okay? Does that make sense? Questions?
She's got her master.
Staying closed, when you say that, in relation to what?
The runway.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm going in this direction, right, I want to stay closed and parallel to the runway, okay? Typically with my shoulders and hips, okay? I don't know about you guys. I don't think this is some weird short ability that I have, but I can turn my feet forward, close my hips. I can even then use my torso, and I can then even really close off, okay, from my upper body and my shoulders. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay, so why do we want to stay closed? Maybe that's another question that you have. Why do I want to stay close? All right? You know?
Yeah, so you can get a longer pull on the jab.
Say it louder.
So you can get a longer pull on the jab.
Right? So if I'm going to pull the javelin from right here, okay, or let's just say I'm open, okay, and I pull my jab from a long hand, all right? The path at which my arm can travel is here to here. You guys tracking that? All right? Sorry, in the military we say tracking. Ross last week kept saying, make sense? That's what tracking means. Are we on track? All right? I can come here, right, where my shoulders are a little bit more closed, my hips are a little bit more open. Requires a little bit more like flexibility and patience, that's fine, okay? Again though, my pull comes from here, all right? I can work that left shoulder to right hip relationship and now look at my pull, okay? I can work on closing and maybe even putting that shoulder a little chin back in there, right? Then I can pull from back here, all right? So not only am I pulling back here farther, I have my spit guard here, right? So I don't think that reached you. I get tested all the time. I don't have the Rona. Took my temperature 3 times a day for Tokyo. even after the camp today, I was 70, no, not 70, 97.6.
You're 70, you'd be dead.
70, I'd be dead. We're not doing that. It's too hot for that, okay? So yeah, but if I can catch it from back here, not only can I start pulling on it back here, okay, but when I get this left shoulder, right hip, and then I get this right hip through, check out my path that I can pull the jab. We talked about this, we talked about the left side. I can pull on it that much farther, especially if I chase it well, all right? You guys tracking on that?
Mm-hmm.
Closed ear, arm, high, right? So I come in, soft right, okay? I'm blazing down the runway. I used to be fast, now I'm fat, okay? Blazing down the runway. I put my right foot underneath me and I have a soft right. Gotta get to my left, right? My center of mass has nothing to stop it with until I get my left foot down. That soft, inactive right, all right, throws my chest forward until I can get that left foot down, okay? Next option, you'll hear people push off your right into your left. That's a delicate one. It's a little bit closer. Problem is when you come here and you push, where'd my center of mass go as well? Okay, so I extended this leg, I pushed, and now I also have my chest down in this position. I'm gonna plow through the jab, all right? Dana likes to talk about coming in here, hitting this impulse step, and running down, okay? So I got my foot down faster by bending that knee, okay? Kind of simple, right? If I'm here and I need to get my foot down and I don't want to change where my center of mass is, okay? Well, I don't want to change where my center of mass is. What I love about being a thrower, mass moves mass, right? I want my mass, okay, and my behind the throw, okay? So I'm gonna come in here, put this foot down, drive the knee down, and now look at the angle that I've created, okay? So I want to run down and onto, and we'll work on that. All right, when I was an athlete sponsored by Nike, that's where your pitcher's toes came from. I used to go through Nike shoes all the time because I'd get over and on top of, run down on that foot, get my heel out, and just destroy shoes all the time. And then we put a pitcher's toe on it. Still have some work to do, but I think it's doing pretty good. I like the blue shoes that I was wearing today. Not that I'm trying to like hype up Nike, I'm just saying we've come a long way in trying to create a little bit more functionality in the shoes, and they last a little longer. Survivability, okay? So I come in, run this knee down. This is where I've started to set up my block, all right? If I'm open, Chloe, even if I run this knee down, okay? If I'm open, my chest is gonna go forward, my hips are gonna go down, all right? The goal here is, guys, is that your mass, your hips, your chest, your core, your torso wanna come up, create this angle, so now the opposite angle goes up, into, and through. All right? So you create the angle at which you throw the javelin with your body, not by dropping your arm, like I did in 04, right? Right? And bent the tip, right? So, or tail. So coming in here, drop that knee down, staying closed with my hips, all right? Allows me to solidify and start to block with the rest of my body, not just my left leg, all right? This was gold for me coming back from a knee surgery. It's something that Kara and I have really been working on the last couple of years, all right? So what does that mean to be closed? What I'm thinking about is actually trying to close and push this hip. Reality of it is it's probably going down the right sector, all right? I think it's pretty difficult, okay? And I don't even really think realistic, right? For you to have this hip closed here, right? And then run in, talk about groin pulls, right? So I like to think about my hip, bottom of my rib cage, okay, and my pec all going down the right sector. Tracking so far? And that's why I talk about this whole left side being your block side, not just your left leg, okay? I know I was working with, actually, Coach Sam was working on this high left hip, getting into your crossovers. Why? I want a high left hip when I'm running into the throw, okay? So as I run this knee down, I want these hips to start working to go up. That knee down takes this hip up. Again, javelin doesn't make sense, but it is biomechanics, okay? So I run this knee down, and as I start to turn this hip up and in, because I've blocked my whole left side, now my hips and the energy, I'm sorry, this is the broken foot, pretend like this foot's still out here, okay? The hips and the energy now go up and into the throw, all right? Tracking, questions, coaches, want to add anything so far?
What she's talking,
Yes?
So what she's talking about, like with energy,
So your body is a kinetic chain. If you think about it, chain, one affects the other. Everything affects the other. So if your foot, so like Dana's foot, her knee, her hip, everything builds up. So all the energy builds up and it goes into the arm and it goes into the elbow and the shoulder. So if you aren't using your legs, all you got is this. This will tear, right?
Yep.
So that's why the lower body is so important, what she's saying about using your knee, using your hip, because then it adds the energy to your throw.
This is where that whip comes in, and you get a whole lot more when you can connect that chain, right, and create length through your hip even, okay? I think a lot of you guys started to feel that we like kind of put you guys in that partner stretch position, and you started to actually feel that hip connected. You're like, oh crap, and then we jab whipped. We didn't jab throw, because we throw here, okay? So coming in here, driving this knee down this whip. It's why is that left side so important to block with the whole left side, okay? I'm gonna go and start talking about the controversial left arm, because we're about there. I'm gonna talk about connection and kinetic chain, all right, and energy, okay? What do we do with this left arm? What you see, a lot of people, and even Europeans, I'll just go ahead and say Europeans, right? When they go to throw, why do I talk about the Europeans?
They're the best throwers.
It's not an opinion. Okay? They're the best throwers. They have the best marks. Okay? They do use the stretch across the chest. They do use their left arm to throw, but it's connected, right? What we tend to think we see is their arm is over here when they go to throw, so we think, I need to yank my arm down, okay? It happens as a result of connecting that chain, all right? Track with me for a second. Coming in here, have energy. Now I'm plowing this way because I want you guys to see it, all right? Now I'm plowing this way down the runway. And I come in here and throw my left arm, because yes, okay? If I throw my left arm, my right arm is gonna throw with me. I still want that stretch. It's the timing of when that happens, all right? Which is, again, why it's a result of, it's not the reason for, okay? Or it's not how we get the arm over top, okay? So I come in here, I want my left shoulder, right, in line. If I were to draw a straight line through my body, right here, in line with my hip, knee, and ankle, okay? Until this left foot comes down. If this shoulder opens up before this left side comes in, for one, what's happening to my center of mass? It's diving forward, okay? Number two is my right arm is connected to my left arm. You guys too? Is that a thing? Right? So when I pull my left arm, I'm not doing anything with my right. When I pull my left arm, what's happening? My right arm's getting pulled too, okay? If that happens before my left foot is down, my left foot down now, look at my length of pull. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. If I close up this shoulder as this left foot comes down from a timing perspective, am I out of sight? Is that what you're looking at?
You're
Am I
good.
still good?
You're good?
Let me know if I need to move.
You're in frame.
Okay, cool. All right, but if I come in and this left shoulder is in line here, look where my length of pull can be. All right, now I'm gonna start to use this left arm. I'm gonna create this stretch across my chest, and we're gonna do that truck driver thing, okay? I wanna keep this arm and hand high, okay, really until that jab is out of my hand. And the reason being is as I pull this down, what's happening? What's happening to my right arm? I pull this down. Good. What else is happening to my left hip? It's getting buried, right? So if I can keep this left arm up, create stretch reflex across my chest, as I turn that wheel, pinch my shoulder blades together, I solidify that left side, and I can keep turning and running that right hip into it, all right? Do you see how I'm still going into the direction of the jab? Do you see how this left arm coming down here is a result of and connected to this hip instead of this arm pulling down, right? Which is also then dumping my hips. You guys tracking where I'm trying to go with the energies and the angles? You may have questions? Yes, sir.
I know we talked about this the other day. Can you talk about the hip hinge idea, since you're in the block territory in here?
So, you'll read some books that talk about the jab being a hinge moment, right? So you come in here and you throw and you hinge, right? Like this. That happens as a result of and after, right, the hip goes into and through, right? So what you're trying to do is, speaking of hinge, slam the door, that being a revolving door, right? Or worst case, a French door, right? So coming in here, we're gonna go hit this left shoulder is inside and aligned with this left leg, keeps my arm far back. I drive this knee down, squeeze my glutes, take everything down the right sector, and I create this inverted C power position. Watch my left hand engaged with my right hip, okay? So far, so good. Am I still hinged? Am I hinged yet? Okay? As I continue, Caitlin, to take my hip up to, through, and in the throw, all right, I will eventually, because I'm staying on the path of the jab, hinge at this point. But do you see how it happens as a result of? It's not where I'm trying to go, okay? When I try to come here and take this left side, right, in and down, I have dumped this right hip, my chest goes down, and have you guys seen jabs fly? They don't, sorry, right? You'll pull down on the jab because your chest is coming down, all right? A lot of times what happens too is that's a lot of stress and strain on your shoulder, all right? When you're pulling from this point, because remember we talked about throwing through the armpit, okay? So you're gonna get some bicep tendon problems, maybe even some labor problems when the direction, or excuse me, the muscle action that happens. You guys looking at me? I thought I was like done with time. I'm getting close to it, okay? But I'm like nerding out and having fun and just carry this into the next session, right? So when I pull down here, pulling down with this shoulder, look what's also happening with that elbow. Some ugly things that are happening. For one, it's not only a good technique for the thing to fly far, it's good technique so your body isn't wrecked, okay? So if I come and I pull down with this left side, I'm dumping my hips and I create that hinge moment way before I'm actually able to pull on the jab. Is that answer? Is that what we talked about?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
You're demonstrating, I'm just wondering if they understand about separating the left and the right arm coming at the same time, or are they going at different times?
Great question. All right, so she's talking about the separation of this right and this left hand, right? We talked about today, can you turn that because the sun's moving that way and I'm sweating, okay? So I'm gonna move just a little bit this way. I'm still gonna be loud, all right? I took a shower, I don't wanna take another one. I'm running out of clothes, it's really hot here, okay? I wanna create that stretch across the chest. We talked about wringing the towel. You guys tracking that so far? We talked about wringing the towel. Why do we wring the towel? For one, we're creating that path of our hand, all right? For two, I can get a great stretch across my chest. Notice, okay, I'm standing straight onto you guys. Notice I can get a stretch across the chest without having to drop my shoulder, which I lose that stretch across my chest, all right? And without having to open my shoulders, okay? Opening my shoulder, again, shortens that pull. So as I come in, I check my watch, and I sweep the air reach, creating that stretch across the chest, okay? Which is then where I like to simply turn this hand, right? Anybody ever done a row? Okay? So essentially what we're doing is like a TRX high pull row, just like this, all right? So I'm rowing with my shoulder blades back here, and I'm trying then to pull my hip up into this arm. I'm not trying to pull this down. So that's how I get the hands apart, okay, and stretch across my chest, but still keep my shoulder in line with this foot. It's not good, don't do that. That was dumb. It's like right in my eyes, okay? But do you see how I can keep this shoulder engaged and actually push this hand back and create more stretch? As I turn this hand over, okay, and hit this row position, now I've connected my right hip, shoulder hip separation there, okay? I've connected my right hip, now in with this stretch, okay? So I'm stretching from here, and I'm able to then pull up and over the top position, all right? So super controversial left arm. Yes, you do use your left arm to throw, all right? It's what you're doing with your left arm, trying to create the stretch across your body without opening the shoulders. Cool? Tracking that? All right. Hard to do standing, but moving through the block, all right? most Americans, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Mainly, and the other thing is because I usually only ever talk to Americans about this stuff. When I used to travel the world and got to just listen to other people, not that I could understand their language, but I could tell what they were trying to tell their athletes to do, all right? And then we talked to some of them, and like, oh, what are you thinking when you fill this position? That's kind of how we learn a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, well, you know, what about this? What about that, right? Oh, well, I think about it this way, or I feel this position, all right? A lot of Americans are like, you gotta hit your block. I just really want to hit a block. I want to hit and hold a block. I want to hit it and use it, right? There's no need, and this is actually like something that Kara and I had a real good conversation about because she's still trying to build confidence about this left leg being down, and she's thinking I have to like hold this position. Not that, run through it, right? Hit it, use it to keep chasing the jab. So you don't have to keep this massive amount of pressure on this left leg once you hit the positions in the right sequence, and your body, you want to. Who here's ever seen somebody like, and not like fake do it? All right, so Johannes Vetter. You may have ever seen Johannes Vetter. He doesn't fake do it. He actually does it on purpose where he hits it and flies through the air, right? So he comes in and he basically, Duncan used to call it like a vault, right? Where you'd come in, you'd hit, use, and vault to get up and through that block position, all right? Vetter's not, you told me that I didn't talk and now I'm into it, now you're gonna cut me off.
Yep.
You better come through on the other promise. Right? Vetter's not sitting here thinking, I gotta hold this block. He wants to hit it, use it, and plow all the way the flip through it. That's why we don't throw at the line, Dana, and foul with your hand on the line and miss going to the Olympic team. But that's a whole nother story, all right? We throw what? 1.5 meters, 2 meters behind the line. Why? Because we get to chase it, okay? If you're a shot put or discus thrower, right? That's where that reverse comes in, and they kind of chase through and look to the back of the circle so they don't. We got space, okay? And we'll work on our run-up approach a little bit too, and that's just something that cannot be taught in 3 days. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm gonna teach you, I'm gonna give you some ideas. That's something that's like a personal thing. Once we give you kind of mechanics, and that's something that you gotta feel, all right? But as I run into this block, stay close, hit, use, my hips going up, my chest going up, I'm holding this left side, right? I wanna freaking chase that jab, right? Use the block to go up and through, all right? We actually have this day in our practice where I turn this into a theatrical thing. And I don't care how ridiculous they get, but I want them to almost falsify their feeling of hitting a block and going through it. So they get to like fake their energy, right? I call them popover days. And so they'll come in here, throw, right? And hit their recovery steps. So I want them the feeling of they're taking their hips, their chest, leaving the arm back, throwing through, and then we gotta work to save that throw. Does that make sense? Sorry, I went way off for that one, okay?
You're good.
But I wanna work on being able to chase through that throw. That's why we work on our steps. Long jumpers, pole vaulters, triple jumpers, they're obsessed with their marks. Maybe if I'd have done that, I'd be an Olympian and not a PE teacher, all right? But what happens, I took an extra step, threw, crushed the throw, fouled my hand on the line. It's a sad story, right? It's a true story though. Okay, but the reality of it is we get space to run into recklessly, to hit, okay, chase the throw and then stay behind, all right? There's not a rule that says you have to throw with your black foot on the line and then save it. That would be dumb, all right? Trying to take my whole body up through the throw, might as well take my whole body up through the throw and then worry about saving it afterwards, all right? Doesn't happen as much in the javelin as I think it does, at least with my kids in the hammer, disc, and shot, where I say see it and don't watch it, all right? But to be able to see the throw and then be able to recover, especially in the javelin, when you get all the way through it, that thing will fly for freaking ever, all right? And then you get to sit here and do the better thing. Walk around, you know, do a little thing, and then it's still in the air, right? So you get to watch it a little bit longer than something like a 12 or a 16 or a 4K shot, all right? So that's kind of a big part of it is see it. Another thing is, last piece of stretch is, why not make my chin, create another stretch to allow my arm to stay back? Something that took me freaking 2 years to teach Kara, okay? Is that she would come in here with her head in this position and then pull. Look at my arm. Could you imagine? All I did was lift my chin and created more stretch, okay? So be relaxed up top too, so you can get that long stretch coming up and over the top. That's my obsession and dissertation on the jav block, left arm. We're gonna work on all of that tomorrow, all right?